Hey, what's going on, guys? Daniel Jeremiah just posted his second mock draft. Media analyst, respected in the draft community. Now, I have not seen this list. So this is my first reaction to it. So let's jump right in. Evan Neal, first overall. I've mocked him to the Jaguars a lot, and I think that there's probably a 90 or a 9-1 possibility that they go offensive lineman. Maybe it's not Evan Neal. Maybe they go with Ika Makwanu, but I think Evan Neal's probably the better prospect, better in pass pro, and just has franchise left tackle written all over him, and I think that the Jaguars go offensive tackle supporting Trevor Lawrence, obviously. Detroit Lions, Aiden Hutchinson. I've also been mocking this a ton. From Michigan, probably the best player in this draft, if not the second, and mocked this to the Lions a bunch. They need edge rusher. And then pick 3, Houston Texans, Kyle Hamilton. I've also mocked this. That was in my last one. Texans could trade down, but you like Kyle Hamilton, of course, center fielder, and probably one of a top 5 player in this draft. But I think that Houston might trade down just a little bit so they don't have to reach, because safety isn't the biggest position in biggest position need to be drafted that high. The last one to go this high was Jamal Adams. At pick 4, Ika Makwanu. I made my video about how he's a near perfect prospect for the Jets, so I wouldn't be upset about this at all. And offensive tackle could be a need for the Jets if anything happens with Mekhi Becton, or and also you can slide him to guard as well. Pick 5, the New York Giants go with Trayvon Walker. Now, I like Trayvon Walker a lot. He's got extreme athleticism and versatility, but I haven't really seen Trayvon Walker go as high as 5. I've seen him go in the top 10 before, but I think guys like I think Kayvon Thibodeau is still one of the top prospects. I don't see him falling out of the top 5, even though there are a bit of concerns about his I don't know, work ethic, injuries, stuff like that. But we're gonna go on. Carolina goes with Trevor Penning. He was in my Senior Bowl standouts, which now has over 2,000 views, which I'm very thankful for. He was I think my first one, and big mauler, a little less polished, but very aggressive player. He's also very strong and big. And Carolina, even though they're in a tough situation, offensive line is probably the biggest need right now. And then next year and the year after that, probably quarter. You got to find your quarterback and rebuild the team. Giants next go with Drake London. Now, the Giants have so many receivers now. They got Kenny Galladay on a multi-million dollar contract. You pick Kadarius Toney up last year. You have Sterling Shepard. I'm pretty sure they got rid of Golden Tate though. So they have a lot of receivers that are on the books. I think they have 3 receivers that are over 10 mil they're paying, and Darius Slayton. Darius Slayton is the other one, and he's gonna have to be paid soon if you don't want to let him go. But Drake London is still the best, excellent player. He's a lot of people's receiver ones. My receiver one is Traylon Burks, but he's like 6'5", 230. He's built like Mike Evans. So that would be a nice pickup for the Giants, but I definitely don't think that receiver is their biggest need. I think it's offensive line, offensive line, offensive line. Atlanta Falcons go with Kayvon Thibodeau. The fall ends. I maybe don't see him falling past the Jets or the Giants. I think that if he was here, you have to go with Kayvon Thibodeau. But anyways, the Atlanta Falcons just cut Dante Fowler, so edge becomes a need. I think that maybe cornerbacks a play here, but if Kayvon Thibodeau falls, anybody over in this area should go and try to get him. Denver goes with Jeremiah Johnson. Also in my Senior Bowl video, his draft stock has increased tenfold. He went from a borderline first round guy to a maybe second round guy to becoming probably a top 15 player. So with the Denver Broncos, they got rid of Von Miller, so this is essentially your Von Miller replacement. At 10, the Jets go with Sauce Gardner, and I think Sauce Gardner he's like 6'3", 200 pounds. He's got ideal cornerback size. He's super lengthy, and I'm pretty sure he allowed 0 touchdowns in coverage this season, and he is DJ's top-rated cornerback. And now, even though the Jets don't, I think there are more pressing needs, like edge rusher that they could go here, or they could go with possibly a linebacker, but I would like them to go with receiver here. If the Jets don't get a number 1 cornerback, then Sauce Gardner has to be in play at 10. And he also fits the scheme, man, big corner, and he also can play the boundary. So it would not only be a scheme fit, but it would be, but also Sauce Gardner's ideal size and plays in a similar scheme in college. The new Washington Commanders go with Kenyon Green at guard. I think quarterback is probably the play here. And also, I understand why, because Brandon Sheriff they're going to lose Brandon Sheriff. I don't think he's coming back. But if you really want to start the organization back up in the right way, would you go with quarterback? Or you can go with Kenyon Green. I actually agree with him in this instance. I don't think that quarterback should be really worth 11, other than maybe Malik Willis. But if Malik Willis goes with the Commanders, he's probably not going to have a good year, because what do they really have on the offensive line now? And then Minnesota at 12, they go with Trent McDuffie. I've been mocking cornerbacks to the Vikings for a while now, and would I see Trent? I mean, DJ really likes Trent McDuffie, and I understand why, but I think that Derek Stingley, I don't know if he's a better prospect, because I haven't really done a lot of research on the cornerbacks just yet. Kind of been researching offensive line and receiver more. But if DJ thinks he's good, I mean, DJ is one of the best analysts about the draft. So if he thinks he's good and he thinks he's going to the 12 overall and going before Stingley, then he's going there. George Karlaftis, 13 of the Browns. I would think that the Browns should go receiver. There are multiple receivers that haven't gone yet. I mean, so Burks hasn't gone yet. Garrett Wilson hasn't gone yet either. So I think that if you want that offense to be moving again, you need to go with a good receiver. We saw what happened in the Bengals offense when they chose a number 1 receiver. And do the Browns address receiver in free agency? We don't know. But they're losing Jadeveon Clowney. But I don't think edge is their biggest need. I think it's receiver. But anyways, 14 Baltimore Ravens, they go with Derek Stingley. Now, would I agree with this? Yes, I would agree that that cornerback is a need, and I think if Derek Stingley falls, you could definitely pick him. But the Ravens, I think their biggest need is through the trenches. I mean, we saw what Lamar Jackson was able to do with a very good offensive line, and then once Marshall Yanda retired, and when the offensive line started to get injured a lot, Lamar Jackson kind of got neutralized a bit. So I think the trenches are the biggest need for the Ravens. Something like a guard or Linderbaum could be in play here. But Stingley, I mean, they got Marcus Peters that's under contract. And then they have Marlon Humphrey. So could cornerback be in need? Sure, they could go with him. And they could try to mold him. They've obviously had good secondary players. So that'll be interesting to see what the Ravens do. Philadelphia, back-to-back picks. They go with David Njoku and Deontay Wyatt. Now, Deontay Wyatt going this high is extreme. I don't know if he should go this high. I think he's a back half defensive tackle just because he does bring that pass rushing upside. But someone like his teammate here, I'll try to find him. Oh, Jordan Davis. Jordan Davis all the way down there? Anyways. I think someone like Jordan Davis brings a lot of value to your team because he's kind of like Vince Wilfork, just a big guy, massive, tall, who's going to stop the run. But anyways, Deontay Wyatt's still a good player. And then they go with David Njoku. I like David Njoku a lot. Kind of raw, but he's got a ton of upside, as DJ even said. Raw has much upside in the draft. The Chargers, we're moving on. Chargers, Chris Olave. Chris Olave over Garrett Wilson and Treylon Burks is interesting. Well, if Mike Williams isn't re-signed, and you want to go with receiver, which I think that they should go offensive, possibly offensive tackle or defensive tackle. Or if they want to go with receiver, why wouldn't they go with Garrett Wilson, who's one of the better 50-50 ball players, probably even better than Chris Olave. And then why wouldn't they go with somebody like Traylon Burks? Traylon Burks is 6'3" and is extremely dynamic. That would make that offense incredible. So I would go with other receivers other than Chris Olave. I still like Chris Olave as a player. I think he's a borderline first rounder, but I much would rather have guys like Traylon Burks and Garrett Wilson, who are my receiver 1 and then my receiver 3 in there. The Saints go with Kenny Pickett. I think that Malik Willis I think he's a better prospect just due to his dynamic ability. But Kenny Pickett is still a good play. Like, he's still a good player. He's got great accuracy. He's got good arm strength and pocket mobility. So, interesting to see what the Saints do. They could trade up if somebody like the Steelers try to go ahead and get Malik Willis, which he also drafts them. He drafts Malik Willis to them. But interesting to see what quarterback, quote-unquote, needy teams do. Well, they need the quarterback. So, it's interesting to see what they're going to do. Philadelphia at 19, they go with Garrett Wilson. So you get now you have Devontae Smith and Garrett Wilson. So you have the 50-50 ball separator, and you have one of the best route runners. That's going to be and the offense becomes a lot scarier. And I would recommend that the Eagles try to at least address receiver. You already effed up that whole Jalen Reagor, Justin Jefferson thing. So you have to try to just make up for that and get a true number 1 or a really good number 2 receiver. Steelers go with Malik Willis. Malik Willis, another Senior Bowl standout that I had. Excellent. He's played extremely well in the game. He reached upwards of like 21 miles per hour in the regular season at Liberty, but at the same time his film is very he has not a lot of flaws. But it's just like some of the things he needs to work on at the NFL level. I don't think it's very justified for him to just throw him out there. He's still very raw, and he played at Liberty, so the competition wasn't really there. But we had the same argument about Trey Lance, and I think Trey Lance did a good job, or a decent job in the snaps that he did in San Francisco. So I think Malik Willis, if he had a year to season in the NFL, I think that would be extremely beneficial. So, but I still think he's a good prospect and probably a top 15 player going into the draft. I think he's my quarterback 1, just because we've seen what fast quarterbacks can do, like Kyler Murray and Lamar Jackson. Moving on, the Patriots at 21 go with Devin Lloyd. This is my linebacker 1, and Patriots, they draft like they have a revolving door. And so what is the next up on their list? It's probably going to be linebacker. I don't know. The Patriots have been needing linebacker. They have, I forgot his name, but I'm pretty sure they franchise tagged him. But I think cornerback's also kind of a need, because if they don't franchise J.C. Jackson, then what are they going to do? They also lost Stephon Gilmore. So I think that there's still good cornerbacks on the board, and if they want to go cornerback, they can. Raiders go with Charles Cross. They need to address offensive linemen big time. They kind of messed up last year with Alex Leatherwood. I'm mocking offensive linemen and defensive linemen to the Raiders every day. So, Arizona Cardinals, Kyler Gordon. I have not seen Kyler Gordon in the first round in a while. I've seen Trent McDuffie, who also is from Washington. Yes, Washington. So 2 Washington corners go in the first round. That's kind of interesting. Cardinals have already chosen a Washington cornerback in Byron Murphy. And I think that the Cardinals go with cornerback. I think one of their main issues later in the year was kind of cornerback. I think that maybe edge rushers also need, but I don't think any edge rushers are going to go over here. Edge rushers tend to go earlier. So if they want one of the premier ones, they're going to have to probably trade up, but I don't think they do that. And I think they go with corner, but someone like Kyer Elam or the guy out of Clemson, I'm blanking on his name. But I think they can also go here. The Cowboys getting a Kobe Dean. I agree with this. They need somebody next to Micah Parsons at least. They Leighton Vander Esch, kind of injury prone. You got rid of Jalen Smith, who ended up getting cut. Either way, well, they cut their other linebacker, I forgot. And then Micah Parsons is used as a main pass rusher, which he was most effective at. So linebacker, you see your second linebacker then becomes a need, and then you go with Kobe Dean. So I agree with that pick from DJ. Pick 25, Traylon Burks falls all the way to 25. Now, I don't think this happens. I think he goes upwards of top 15. And we've seen receivers fall, of course. And, I mean, for the Buffalo Bills, this would make their offense extremely effective. Kind of like the San Francisco 49ers, I see Traylon Burks comp as Deebo Samuel. So, that'd be bad for the AFC East. That'd be really interesting. And also, Brian Daboll left for the Giants job, so we'll have to see what their new offensive coordinator does with that offense. 26 at Tennessee. I've been mocking them linebackers mainly, but since those are gone, they go with Tyler Linderbaum. Now, I'm pretty sure their center left, or it was a guard or something. But they at the same time, they need offensive line. I think Derrick Henry's coming back. I think he'll have another strong year. And we don't know what they do with this pick. They could trade it for someone like Aaron Rodgers or try to upgrade at quarterback. But if it's not Aaron Rodgers, I don't think they would trade this pick. So I'll have to see about that one. But Linderbaum, kind of not a generational center, but he's one of the best center prospects we've seen in a long time. So going with here at Tennessee, it's a great value pick. I mean, we've seen centers fall like Creed Humphreys last year, who played at an all-pro level this year. At 27, the Buccaneers go with Jameson Williams. I see Jameson Williams falling. He tore his ACL, and the Bucs are going to lose Chris Godwin. So I agree with this pick. I think I also had Jameson Williams going to Tampa Bay last time, or another receiver or something. Green Bay go with Boye Mafe. Boye Mafe had an excellent Senior Bowl game. Pretty sure he got a sack. And they made a similar pick with Rashad Gary. They like raw explosive pass rushers. And Rashawn Gary out of Michigan, him out of Minnesota. And I really liked Boye Mafe at the Senior Bowl. Looked very clean. And not a raw player, but he's more of a raw player than some of the other edge rushers. You're not taking a chance, but I haven't really seen him going in the first round. But I think he could start going because more people are starting to more eyes are on him after the Senior Bowl. 29, the Dolphins go with Tyler Smith, Tulsa offensive tackle. I've seen other offensive tackles like Bernard Raymond go above him, so I haven't done a lot of study on Tyler Smith. So I can't really comment on this one because I don't want to talk. I want to essentially talk out of my ass. But I think do the Dolphins go with tackle here? I could see them going with other areas like maybe receiver. I mean their whole draft position. I mean last year their draft position was excellent, but this year it's kind of complicated. I mean the 49ers had an excellent season. This is via the 49ers. So it's going to be interesting to see what the Miami Dolphins go with. And I can't really comment on that one too much because I just haven't done enough studying on Tyler Smith. 30, Kansas City Chiefs go with Dax Hill. I don't think any safeties other than Kyle Hamilton go in the first round. And I think that they could go with receiver here. Because I feel like they're really missing that true third option because they lost Sammy Watkins a few years ago, and also if like the Buffalo Bills did this, if they play too high, or if they play too safeties high, and they play mainly either cover 2 or cover 4, then the cornerback and then the receivers are kind of blocked in. They're blocked in because just the outside is already covered, and they can't go deep too much. So I think that another receiver could be like a safety net receiver, so I think Jameson Williams could even fall as far as this. But someone like Dax Hill, I just think is just a reach for Kansas City. And if they want to address safety, there are way better safeties in free agency. Cincinnati, This is just clean offensive tackle, offensive tackle, offensive tackle. And Bernard Raymond out of Central Michigan. I'm pretty sure he played like tight end 2 years ago. Kind of raw, new to the position, but he played excellent and he was extremely dominant. He's also huge. He's like 6'7" as well. So a good pick for Cincinnati. And then Detroit, they go with Jordan Davis. Uh, Dan Campbell could look to build through the trenches, and this was via the Rams. The Rams won the Super Bowl, so I could see them going with that. And so that'll do it for the mock draft. I think I'll be posting one of my own mock drafts soon. And thank you for watching. Make sure to follow me on Twitter. Make sure to sub and also follow Daniel Jeremiah.